Hey everyone, my name is Angela and I am a brand new RD. I actually just passed my exam about a month ago. And I have, in the meantime, I've been working as a school district dietitian. So in the state of Wisconsin, and some locations, they allow you to practice even before you have your registration, but they keep in mind that you are signing up and actively studying to take it. So I did my dietetic internship with Aramark last year. And since then, since I've graduated, I have been studying nonstop to pass this exam. To be completely honest with you all, I actually took 2 tries to pass, which I believe is something that not a lot of people talk about. And most times when you do talk to a dietitian, they don't really state how many times they took it or what score they got or any of those things. So just in the back of your mind while studying, you think like, oh, I have to pass on the first try. Like people are gonna look down on me if I don't pass on the first try, like all these things. And you just freak yourself out a little bit more, but don't let that be the case. I know easier said than done, but nonetheless, a majority of people, once you tell someone, oh, it took me 2 tries, or oh, I didn't pass on my first try, or it took me even more than 2 tries, then people will be open and honest with you as well. And they're like, oh, same here. It's so freaking hard to pass this exam, let me tell you. Nonetheless, so the first time I took it, I ended up scoring 2 points below what I needed to pass. And then this past time when I took it, I ended up going up by 3 points. So I got just enough to pass. I was right there, but I did it. So anyway, so I just wanted to share with you all the resources that I used in order to pass this exam. When I first started out studying, my internship made us buy this real big review of dietetics book, but it was just way too detailed, which I mean is not a bad thing. The more detail sometimes the better, but to cram so many pages into your head was just not my thing. So I ended up purchasing the Gene Inman review, which most people will tell you that is the gold standard of studying for this exam. And I think Gene Inman review does an excellent job. I read her from cover to cover. I had the audiobooks, so I listened to her while I was driving to work, driving around town, whatever. While I was sitting there at home, reading the book, I'd have the audio going with too, so I can make all the little notes she guides you through. Great resource, highly recommend. But I think in some areas, it isn't as detailed as it should be. So a friend of mine actually gave me the Sage review. I had the 2020 version instead of the 2021 version. But I think the Sage review was a lot more detailed. So it was nice while I was going. So I also read that cover to cover, but it was really nice while I was going through the Inman one. If there was an area where I felt like there wasn't enough information on, I would refer to the Sage review, and that provided me with more information so I could get it to stick in my head more. So those were the main things that I used to study the first time, and ended up coming real close, but not quite. So of course I got really discouraged, as one does, but you shouldn't let that get you down too much, because like I said, most people don't pass on their first try. It is so hard. And I think the hardest part too is you really don't know what kind of exam you're going to get, because everyone gets something different. And there's just so many areas to cover in such a short amount of time. If you're given a deadline, then it just makes it way more difficult. So nonetheless, after I didn't pass the first time, I decided just to give myself a couple weeks or a week or so of a break, because you need to. If you've been studying nonstop and working full time and just trying to figure out your transition from an RD to B to becoming an RD, your brain deserves a break. Self-care is extremely important when it comes to studying for this exam. Although during that week, I started looking into new resources and trying to come up with different ideas on where and how I could take a different approach to studying for this exam. So one of my friends actually recommended Maryam's 7-week program. Maryam was so incredibly helpful. I was so glad my friend recommended her because it was nice to have someone there with you to go through this material, to talk through, give more explanation. If you had questions, you could ask these questions and she would explain it further. Maryam offers so many resources and is there to support you every step of the way. And it was actually super easy to come across her material. If you're on Facebook, you could just look up RD group and her Facebook page comes up as RD study group live sessions. And then she'll post daily questions. So you could practice off those if you like. And then if you just wanted to reach out to her through Facebook Messenger, she is super responsive. She will answer all your questions. She'll even take time out of her incredibly busy day to speak to you about her program and resources that she has. So a couple of them that I know of and that I participated in was, as I mentioned before, was a 7-week program, which is obviously 7 weeks long. And within these 7 weeks, she covers every single domain from top to bottom. These sessions take place either in the morning or the evening. It just depends on what the availability is. And they are, I took the evening one, so it was like 6:45 to 9:45 at night, Eastern time. So it was nice after I got off work, I could participate. And she would review all this material. And if you had any questions, she would provide further explanation and just take so much time to make sure that you understand what you are learning. So I think Maryam's program helped me more than anyone could understand because I was just so discouraged and I didn't know where to start. And I just felt like I studied wrong, but there's no way of studying wrong. It's just sometimes you need to learn the best way for you to study. And for me, that was more of this lecture-based format and getting some like one-on-one time and deeper further explanation. So nonetheless, the 7-week program typically starts, Maryam helped me kind of jump in at like a later note, but it starts from their like domain 1. So it covers like food science and all that stuff, then going into domain 2, where where it covers MNT, and then to domain 3 for management and domain 4 food service. And she just details everything so well. My biggest area that I struggled on was research, and I felt that Jean Inman didn't cover enough of research, and Sage had more information, so I ended up reviewing Sage more for research-based. But once I heard Maryam's explanation on standard deviations and types of research studies, it just all seemed to click in my head so much better. I think another thing too that helped me immensely is you could either take the 7-week program and that covers all domains, or you could just take her MNT series, or both, and then it'll cover everything. But nonetheless, the MNT series, like the way that she explained everything and was able to tie it back to classes I took in undergrad, relating it to biochemistry and organic chemistry and all these like different gen eds that we had to take, that sitting in a lecture hall, you think, when am I going to like use this again? Like, this isn't relevant, blah, blah, blah. But then once she starts tying it to something else, you already know, like everything starts clicking. And it was like so incredible the second time I took my exam that I could just hear like certain things that Maryam said during her lectures about different types of disease states and what else it affects. And then all the visuals she gives you and diagrams, you're able to just see those while you're taking the exam, so you can trace what would affect what because of this. So I'd highly recommend, if it's your first time taking the exam, second time, third, fourth, fifth, whatever it may be, sign up for at least one of Maryam's classes, especially in an area where you feel so discouraged upon. She does an incredible job of explaining and breaking down and providing the rationales. And I think that is one of the biggest things that I wasn't really taking into consideration of being such a big part of the exam is knowing the rationale behind why you chose an answer. And I think that's also another reason why Jean Inman and all her practice questions were great, but there was no rational or explanation upon why it was B over C or something. But Maryam ends up going through all the Jean Inman practice questions and her materials and everything, and she provides the explanations on why this answer is this. And it's nice too, because during that time, if you know you struggled on question 250, like you could bring that up and she'd be more than willing to go over it with you until you understand it completely. In addition to the 7-week program, Maryam also offers a 3-day extensive review where each day you spend like 8 hours, like a whole work day, basically going over each domain and just going over the resources to use and why, like what rationales to use and how things connect, and it's just so helpful, because when you're sitting down to take that exam, everything just starts clicking and you could just recall so much more because you heard it and you saw it, and you could just now hear it and see it while this question's sitting in front of you. So I think that extensive review was extremely helpful. And then following the extensive review, she also offers a mock exam where you go through all the practice questions, and then at the end, you review them all together. And it's just like taking the exam, but then when you review it, you're able to see and hear why what answer is what. So I think Maryam's resources are extremely helpful. And in addition to that too, she always pushes for her students to make flashcards, which was something that I really didn't take advantage of the first time I took the exam and was studying on my own. I did make the flashcards, but I didn't really review them very much. But this second time around, I remade some of them and explaining things in a different way that Maryam explained them that made more sense to me. So when I was reviewing them on my own, I was able to make more connections and make it stick in my brain more, and just be able to recall more information and go through these flashcards so much faster. I mean, I literally had like a stack this thick, but nonetheless, just going through it when you wake up in the morning or before you go to bed at night, or just in between, like things that you do in your day, whenever you have time to review them, just keep them in your work bag, keep them in your purse, keep them in your car. It was just a really nice portable way of studying, aside from throwing a textbook and lugging that around all day. But nonetheless, and then on top of it too, if you ever just need someone to talk to, Maryam is great for that, and just providing support and pushing you just a little bit more to help you get towards your goals. So if you're in the same situation that I was, or everyone learns different or has different experiences, but nonetheless, if you are an RD to be and you are looking for an incredible resource to help you pass the exam the next time or the first time you take it, take Maryam's classes. I highly recommend the 7-week program, but if you're unable to work her times in with your busy schedule, or you just can't make that commitment, then at least take some of them just to try, especially in areas that you know you struggle in. It will just open your eyes and make so much information stay with you that it is so worth the money, and it is so worth the time, and it is just so worth it. So I highly recommend reaching out to her with any questions and just going for it. But at the end of the day, all that matters is the outcome. And if you apply yourself and you use all these great resources, you will pass your exam. You will be an RD. It just takes time, patience, a lot of studying, and really great resources. Thanks.